The Justice Center actually itself in the courtrooms.
Okay, all right, so they come in through this door here.
You know, they come in through there. That's the main jail correctional facility back there. There's double doors in there, and then you actually get into the actual secure. Well, from this moment there's secure, but this area is here too as well. It's all controlled by our central control.
Okay.
Once you get inside that door, there's also holding cells inside there. So when we bring them up for court, we place them in holding cells. We have 2 holding cells in. And then they have the same type of doors right there where you gotta only court officers, whoever, have access to go in and open that door. It's a keypad like this. So they're big steel doors that go off in both courtrooms. They'll go up and they'll just hit the door like this with the code, and it'll click the door open. And that's the only access that they have.
Okay.
In which all of that is controlled by us, by the card reader. All of them are documented in our base station in here. We know I can pull up, if you was assigned a card, I could pull your card up and it'd tell me every door you hit it, what time you hit it. So that's the security system that's in place. But I mean, this is just the security environment. We pull them in here, they're out of the public. You know,
Okay.
they have no access. Once they get in there, they have no access until they come out into the courtroom, in which, you know, the audience is there. But they have no public access when they're going into the
Okay.
to the courts themselves.
All right. Is there court going on today or right now at this time?
I just asked that question. I don't know if there's any on right now or not.
All right. Is the Justice Center open?
It should be, but the judges have got. That's why the judges have a plan. They have a ruling in effect that they don't want any video, and if you video in there, you have to send them a letter. I mean, that's even for the media. If they want to do like court cases, they have to send a request into the judge for it to get approved.
That's only in the courtrooms, though. Is that the whole facility?
In the facility as well for security measures.
Okay. So there is an actual judge's order that says no photography within the whole justice system property.
In the justice system coming in the front, because the issue with it is when you come in, you may have a victim of sexual assault that's sitting out there, that's a witness, that's a victim. And if you go by and you're filming and it shows back up somewhere, they're like, you know, or you might have witnesses in there or so forth. And that's one of the big reasons, because when you go in there, everybody that's involved in a court case is going to be, there's benches lined up along the side, and they're usually sitting out there. But it's usually the protection of the victims, sexual assault, anything in that nature. So that you know, they don't want to be, you know, for what you were in there was showing, hey, this is what the Justice Center courtroom is like, but innocently you caught a person that was sitting here was a victim of sexual assault. And then if they see it on there, they're going to say, well, there's so-and-so, if somebody knows it. I mean, it just makes for a tough situation. And I mean, that's the same thing here too, is we want to put in a place. And I'm going to talk to the judge about the order for that, especially when you come in our doors here, is signing it there is no video, just for the simple fact is our patrol divisions on this side, our detectives divisions to your left as you're coming in. I mean, we have people that show up here that's victim of sexual assault that's never, it happens and they just show up, won't see a detective, and then they summons them out there and say, well, I was sexually assaulted. They take them inside. So we have cases where that stuff happens, and then crimes against children, people come straight here. They don't call 911. They come here and say, my child was sexually assaulted. Investigation starts at that point. And you know, and that's one of the things that, you know, we've talked about, and I've not went through with the judge about. Maybe we need to this standpoint, because I know that's not your intention. You don't want to put somebody on your YouTube channel that's been a victim of that, and then somebody to start commenting on there. Well, yeah, I know what happened to them. I mean, you don't want that.
No, and I try to move away from the camera out of their faces and show the wall or something.
But I mean, that is, and it could be detrimental to a case too if they saw them there and they're going, well, what are they doing there? Especially if they were the assailant in that, if they saw it. So I mean that, because sometimes those cases move slowly.
Yeah,
I mean, they're tedious, and it requires further investigation and lengthy investigation until you get to that point. But that's That's it, as far as that. I mean, once you go in there, I can kind of explain it to you, but I mean, it's all secure once you bring somebody from the jail into the courts and they come back. The only time that they, once they get out in the courtroom and they're before the judge, I mean, that's your most critical point, but if they tried to go from there, but the only access point they would have would be out the front door. Of course, you've got some court security officers there. You could have as many as 8 there. I mean, look, some courts require 3, some require 2. Then you have the ones out on the door. Of course, they've got constant communication by ear if something happens. And then they also have a support of, if they need help, they can also talk to our central control, which our jailers, correctional officers can also respond up there as well to give them assistance when they have. But usually we've got court going on, we've got transport officers that are designated that take these up, and they stay with them. When they're up there in that holding cell, they're there with them
the whole time.
And they're going out there as well, because the court security officers is for security. It's not their job to maintain the prisoner inmates. They assist with it, but I mean, our staff's up there with them when they're there. When they're taken out, it's their responsibility. So it's kind of a teamwork type of thing once they go into the court.
Okay. All right.
But it's the inmates call it the long blue mile or whatever. I said, well, it ain't the long green mile, but the long blue mile.
They never know what's on the other side of that door when they get there sometimes.
But as technology changes, we've got video arraignments. We've got video cameras that set up back here where the judge can sit there from the bench. And during COVID, they was used a whole lot where they could sit there and they're actually looking at the camera and they got the screen. They can see the judge and they communicate with each other. And we've got an area designated back here where we just take them in and they're actually before the judge. A lot of the arraignments is done that way. And I seen last night where Knox County is asking for $1.5 million to actually do that from their Maloneyville Road jail all the way back to court at City County Building. That it would be a video court where they wouldn't have to transport them all the way out from Maloneyville into downtown. They could pull them up. Say,
makes sense before even COVID.
To do that. But I think they were saying the price tag was like $1.5 million or something like that. But I mean, you think about all the people that Knox County arrested and how many people they have to bust into town for court. I mean, it would be a safer alternative.
Sure.
Because anybody will tell you that once you leave this facility and you're in a vehicle, I mean, there's a risk of an attempted escape or somebody to take somebody over. So, but no, I just like I said, I was talking about earlier in the other video about I'm real pleased the people that sat down and designed and worked on this thing done an excellent job. Because even as long as this area is, I mean, put this space in to work. I mean, there's
not much they can do or in and out as long as somebody doesn't accidentally pop the door open.
Oh yeah, and see, unless they had a key card to get into this one, let's see that one and this one back here, both controlled by central control by radio.
Okay.
See, I can't even.
Oh, okay.
So when I go up, I have to hit the speaker. If I had one of their radios, I could say back and say, pop this door, and they're looking at camera on me. But these doors, I can't even get into. So.
Well, that's good, yeah, because you don't want somebody to overrun a deputy and get their card and something. I'm sure somebody's tried that before.
Yeah, but still, when they come to this area, they're still in leg irons. They're in their full array, leg irons especially for the running part of it. So I mean, you ain't gonna run too far, nose.
Nah, no, you're not. I don't know if you're aware, but I was picked up on a warrant about 3 weeks ago for a boating ticket that I got in 2011, and I missed a court date.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So I had them little shackles on in Hamilton County. And no, they're not comfortable at all. They're even hard enough just to walk. They want to cut into your leg.
Yeah. They're personally, they work. So, but I can imagine, back when you saw those things, 40, 50 years ago when they had the chain gangs out there?
Yeah, with the big balls and
see them out there, and all chained up together and out there working in it, very successful. So. But that was about it as far as the safety and security of the
All right.
of the jail. I mean, the other part of it's restricted. We can't
Sure,
really
sure.
go inside of it.
And I noticed this the last time I was in here for old and unused medication. People actually come in here and utilize that?
Oh yeah,
Great. That's
yeah,
awesome.
It is. Actually, there's a container inside that we actually emptied it out. They came by the other day, and I mean, it's actually full. We've got containers that have seals and stuff on them. We've got the keys locked up in a secure area. There's been times where you couldn't even shut the door. This up here wouldn't even open because it was so full.
Nice.
So we have to empty those out, and we place them and log them into our evidence, and then they come back and weigh them, and they tell us how much poundage there is. But the state comes by and picks those up. They take them, have them incinerated, and all that. But all of our law enforcement agencies in the county have them.
Okay.
Access to them. I think one of the reasons why ours is probably it stays so full is they can access ours at any time. Even when the business hours, when this door is shut, they can go up and hit the intercom system. They can come by here at 8:30 at night and say, "Hey, I've got a bag of medications." They'll buzz the door, open them up, they'll go ahead and put it in it. Of course, they're watching it by camera, and then they leave. They can dispose of basically 24 hours a day. I'm not saying that people show up at 2 in the morning saying, "I need to get rid of this." But I mean, even on the weekends when I know some of the city police department's offices ain't open, they can come by here on Saturday, hit the buzzer, and say, "Hey, I'd like to do this." They let them in, let them do it. So
Cool. So what's the craziest drug you found in there?
All of it is basically. I think the craziest thing we saw. I mean, we really don't look at them when they come in. They're just a bunch of pill bottles. I think the craziest thing that probably was we emptied it. I think that second time, and somebody had. It looks like maybe you could smell it, but it looks like maybe they had poured their cough syrup or something out into a plastic bag or something. It was crazy, and I'm like, okay. It's like kind of sticking, thinking, okay, but when they come in here, but I mean, it gets filled up. But I mean, a lot of people they'll bring like bottles of Advil and stuff that's outdated, and they'll throw it in there, and that's fine. I mean, they're going to go incinerate it and crush them up and do all that stuff and dispose of them, but we're glad people's got an area for this to do, and I mean, they can come in and bring it, and it's a safe place to put it. And I know that there's been people that, that's been in hospice type situations. It's been at the end of their life, and then they've passed. And I took a call a few months ago where a family they had just passed, and they said, "We've got all this painkillers here, and we just need to get rid of them. We want them out of the house because." They had concerns of other family members that may do it. So they actually come up here, and it was one of those. It was probably 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And I said, "They just hit the buzzer, throw it in there, good." And and then the neighbors able to go back and say, "Yep, their sheriff's department locked up."
Yeah.
And disposed of. And I mean, but you have those instances where people, they prey on that stuff. They know it's there, and it's.
Definitely, because I mean, I've heard stories about people who have allowed people to go to the bathroom, and a couple of days later they realize, hey, my cabinet's been rummaged through and stuff like that. So, people do that. A habit is definitely a habit, and I haven't seen one of those in Hamlin County anywhere. And the first one I saw was here. I mean, I've heard about them, so I got to check and see if those are available because it's a great thing to have. You definitely want a means of people being able to get rid of their unused prescription drugs.
Oh, yeah,
it can only help somebody.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you think about kids. I mean, it gets in the wrong hands.
I did. I received the statistics for ODs from Hamlin County, and I was kind of surprised how low the numbers were in the past 5 or 6 years. But a 13-year-old back like 6 or 7 years ago OD'd. A 13-year-old. I mean, that should wake people up on what they have in their own house. I don't know the situation, but if a 13-year-old OD'd, he didn't just magically come across them, right? Somebody gave him money, somebody left something somewhere or something like that, and that shouldn't happen to our youth.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and kids are going to be kids. I mean, they're going to make. I remember back in my EMS days. This is, years ago, and this was before the big push of opiates, and there was no such thing as oxycodone. You had your hydros and Percocets and stuff like that. And this young man, he thought he had his mama's prescription of hydros. So he come back, and they said, hey, you saw the other kids, and it was a middle school setting. And he's bringing all the medications in, and he's like, hey, look here, he said, here's my mama's hydros, and they're gonna make it. It was his mama's blood pressure medicine.
Oh.
So we get the EMS call, and we roll up, and we've got like 13 kids sitting in there, and they're like, and I'm like, what is this? And they're like, we're calling poison control, and they're like, it's a blood pressure medicine. So you got all these parents, and I'm calling extra ambulances in, and we're loading everybody up, and we took a bunch of kids down to Children's, and they just checked on them, and it was just, but it's one of those things though. But he thought it was the hydros. He got the wrong thing, and so I mean, the kids are going to be.
But it's crazy. You had that many kids that just, hey, let me have it, let me take it, and popped it in their mouth,
and it'll make you feel good. And I mean, and that was years and years ago. But now you have those things when you got that stuff. Take it up here and put it.
Get rid of it. You guys hear that? Get rid of it. And I'll see if Hamlin County has one, and I'll let y'all know where there's one in Hamlin County so y'all can get rid of that. Don't just throw it in the garbage or nothing like that. Bring it to a facility just like this. Like he said, anytime, you just ring the bell, and you can put it right there, and that's it. Hey, and now you're even allowed to legally wear a mask. So if you don't want them to know who you are, that's an option too. So, hey, I appreciate your time, Sheriff. Thank you very much. I look forward to any other information that you can gather for me and give me. And I hope we can make a good difference in our communities.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right. So that was a great interview. Like I said, different than what we've done. He was expecting us, and I had already told him what my intentions were, what I was here to try to gather. And subscribe to my channel. Hit this a thumbs up. Any information that you've gathered from here that you that you would like to see implemented in Hamlin County or any of your other counties, or any other information that you would like to gather, please reach out. I will leave some phone numbers in the description area of this for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. I will leave you, I'll go ahead and put the mayor's office number for Jefferson County. I'll leave the mayor's office for Hamlin County and the phone number for the sheriff of Hamlin County. That way, if you would like to voice any concerns or interest, at least you have that contact information. I appreciate everybody watching. I just started a new Facebook page. Everything's legit, the name and all that, everything matches up. So if Facebook decides to ask me again for my ID to verify, everything will be good, and they won't restrict it at all. So go on there, like my Facebook page, Lakeway Audits, become a friend so that we can share information. And I appreciate the people that have reached out to me. And we will be gathering that information for you shortly and seeing what we can do. From Jefferson County Sheriff's Department and Justice Center, thank you for watching.